Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, I have another amazing guest, and this is somebody I see all the time on Zoom calls, and actually I met her live as well. Every single time I see her, she has this great smile on her face, lots of confidence, lots of energy, and I'm always gravitated to those individuals. So I'm very excited to have her on my show today. Now, she's passionate in this one area that actually brought her abroad to study. And it's something that everybody absolutely needs to learn about, and that is interior designing. She's phenomenal in that. And from her studies abroad, she's absolutely taken that stuff and applied it to her craft right now. And she's done some amazing transformations. I've seen some of those photos on Instagram and on social media, absolutely amazing stuff. So people need to really connect with her with regards to interior design. But not just that, because she's involved with construction as well. Interior design, 15 plus years, construction from a very, very early age. Now I'm going to go out on a limb and say that when most people are learning how to ride their bikes, she's running electrical wiring throughout houses. So somebody who's been involved with construction for a long time to now working on high-end luxury homes and construction and all that great stuff. And her goal and dream and mission is to help you create your perfect home. So please welcome a construction concierge, a senior managing partner and lead interior designer at Design and Detail, Ms. Shavawn Everitt.
Thank you, Fong.
Hey, thanks for being here. How are you today?
Wonderful. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, see that energy? Absolutely amazing. Share with us your journey. How did you become this amazing, phenomenal interior designer? And what are you absolutely passionate about right now?
Well, I am absolutely passionate about construction. And it really did all start with my dad, which is crazy. And I did start doing, we built our farmhouses growing up. And so building our farmhouses, my dad, and you're right, Fong, my dad used to let me run the electrical wire across the rafters. And I swear my mom walked in, she was going to kill him because I was up on the top being a crazy kid. And but he loved it. And actually I fell in love with construction at a young age, but I didn't know I did. That's the key point. I didn't know that I knew what I knew growing up with my dad. I got lucky growing up and learning the things that he taught me. So
was interior designing something that you kind of picked out at the beginning, or did you try a few different kind of industries first before you go, you know what, I want to do this?
Okay, so I actually went to college. You go talk to the person, the counselor or whatever, and I thought I was going to be a vet. So I grew up on a farm, and I knew everything about animals. We had every animal under the sun, literally. And so I thought, oh, I love animals, I'm going to be a vet. And so when they started talking to me, they were just asking me questions, and literally I'm just answering them. And she goes, have you ever thought about architecture and design? And I'm like, no, what really is that? And she goes, well, interior design is, you can, basically she explained it to me, and I'm like, holy crap, you can get paid for doing that? Sign me up. And she signed me up that day, and I never looked back.
Oh, wow. So yeah. you went from not knowing anything about interior design to packing everying and flying across the world to learn about it.
Yes,
I did. How did that come about? Like, that's a scary thought.
No, I loved it. So I'm one of those people, my dad always told me, you always jump in head first. You have no idea. You have no idea what the outcome's going to be. You just make it happen. That's what he's always told me. So he's called me his head first kid every single time. And it's a factor of being fearless, right? It's not knowing what's going to happen. It's making it happen. And so I remember, because I had the opportunity, I'm very spoiled. So I had the opportunity to have the option of go out of state, which there was a university I was looking at in Colorado that had a great interior design program. I could go out of state, or I could go to school close to home and study abroad. And I was like, that's the ticket. I'm going to Italy. I'm doing design school. I love it. And so I did. My dad dropped me off at the airport at 4 a.m., literally kicked me to the curb, left, got on a plane, didn't know a soul. I mean, I was 20. So, I mean, I just took off and I figured it out, and it was great. And it's really a great experience in life because you can, I would say that's the point where you go and find yourself, right? Where you're on your own. You don't have your parents there to back you up. You don't have family. I mean, I was in a foreign country. I didn't know a soul.
Mhm.
And
What was the biggest shock by living on your own the first time abroad?
in Italy, it was the gypsies. They were the biggest shock for me. I was scared of them as a 20-year-old. I was like, ah, they're so aggressive. But it was the, you know, the culture in Italy was very different than America. And I think that was probably the most shocking factor.
Have you gone back since?
No, I have not. No, I have not. We had a 10-year anniversary trip planned and it had to get canceled because I wanted to take my husband Matt. But I am going to go back. I love Italy. So
now during that entire process, was there any instant where that little voice in your head saying to you, "Stop this. This isn't going to work. Go back. Find that safe space at home"?
Never.
How do you just forget about that person? How do you just go about and not listen to all that negative stuff?
Oh, well, negative stuff just drags you down. You just gotta, roll it off and keep going. And yeah, I mean, school wasn't perfect, of course, because you had, there was always trials and tribulations, but make it through.
Awesome.
I mean, yeah.
So what is it about interior design that goes, you know what, this is my passion?
Really, I'm going to be honest, interior design for me is people. So interior design, there's so many different genres of interior design. You've got residential, which is what I like. And then there's, commercial design, you have hospitality. So there's different, sorry about that. There is different types, but I love residential, and people is what makes the residential interior design for me. And that's why I like to go that direction. And I love starting something. So new construction is I love new construction with clients, and it's starting something. It's getting to know the people from the beginning and creating something for them, and then seeing it fulfilled for them. And then it's fun because now I've done grandma's homes and mom's homes and now daughters' homes and the little babies of the daughters. And so it's families. Does that make sense?
Of course, it's one of those things that you can pass on from generation to generation, and you can live and feel that environment. And lots of emotional stuff is in there too. So something that's absolutely involved with people all the time when it comes to interior design. So it's great that you found that because not everybody found something that they're actually passionate about, but you found it right away, and you really, really excelled in it. Now, when you go and tell people, I'm in interior design, or I do this and I do that, I design all this kind of stuff, are there certain things that people have just this wrong myth about interior design that you go, no, that's not true?
Yes, absolutely. Because they think every interior designer is a decorator. And there's a big difference between decorators and interior designers. Now, I will say there are a lot of designers who really only want to decorate. They just want to do interiors. So when I tell people interior design, like Fong, what do you think of when you say interior design? What comes to your mind?
First thing comes to my mind is everything inside the house is interior design. So how it looks, how it's arranged, staging, colors, all that kind of stuff is interior design.
Right. And I'm like, well, I really don't get involved in how your drapes look or your sofa. And I'm talking about lighting design and, what your slab's going to do, where your plumbing's going to go. And so I like to start at plan level, especially since I do a lot of new construction.
Yep.
And right from the start, I think people are just going, are you a general contractor? Right? They ask me, I get that asked all the time. Wait, what are you doing? I'm like, no, but I need to be able, it's my job to make the general contractor's job easier, right? So it's my job to take everything they want and package it up pretty in this beautiful little package and hand it off to the contractor and then be there to support him while he builds it.
I see.
And so there's a big difference because there's not a lot of interior designers who know construction through and through. I would say most don't. Of course, there is a handful that do, a handful that I've worked with, but they're usually not construction based. And so it's so funny. Some of my clients have started calling me their construction designer versus their interior designer, which is pretty funny.
Well, when it comes to interior designing, like lots of people will go, okay, well, if you're only focused on that aspect, what's the process? Like you ask them questions, you've talked about how it's a people thing at the beginning. There's a fine line between it becoming too personal to your client to something that's sustainable over a long period of time.
Yes. Well, there is a fine balance, and as a good professional, you should always help your clients balance out the wants to the needs. And one of my philosophies is function first, right? So I always ask my clients, give me everything you want. Give me your honey-do list, right? Because if we can fit it in, great. But if it doesn't function and it doesn't financially make sense, because I will tell you, I've gotten some humdingers. There's some stuff I'm like, okay, guys, why are we doing this? Right? Like, what's the end? Why and you're only going to have it for this amount of time. Why are we doing this? But it's guiding them, right? From a financial standpoint, from making things functional in the home, making sure their square footage is being what it needs to be. I mean, there's so many, it's just a long laundry list of items that we handheld. We handhold our clients through because I need to know their home much better than they do.
Right.
Right.
No, I know you're also involved with investing in real estate, flipping and doing all that stuff too. So you're able to go, okay, wait a minute, this isn't going to work from a resale standpoint. Yes. You mentioned that there's some really interesting ideas that was pitched out there that you kind of vetoed. Can you share some of those vetoed ideas that your clients once had?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, one time, they wanted to put a slide, like a copper slide, and then it wanted to be from like the third floor all the way down where the kids could slide down to go to school. And I'm like, okay, cost of copper has to go through two subfloors, I'm like, this doesn't make sense, guys. Like, why are we trying to desigin this, right?
Like going right outside to the exterior?
No, it actually went down to the mud room. Yeah, down to the mud room. And I'm like, okay. Sometimes there's crazy things like, 3 kitchens in one house. And you're like, okay, I know your house is, say, 18,000 square feet. Why do we need 3 kitchens? Okay, so it's just what's functions and what they're going to get out for resale value. Because if someone's only going to build a house and stay in it till their kids graduate, you want to make sure, one, it makes sense so they can resell within their area. But 2, they're not doing anything crazy like putting 4 pools off the backyard or something. You never know. You never know. We hear all sorts of stuff.
Well, what was one of the most creative solutions that you've come up with?
Oh, creative solutions. Well, I would have to think about that, Fong. I don't know if I could come up with one right off the top of my head.
That's okay. We'll let you come back to it later if you okay. When it comes to interior design and construction, I come from an engineering background. Mm-hmm. And one of the common sayings about engineers is that we hate architects.
I've heard that.
So I would imagine that some of the construction people actually don't like interior designers that much. Like you jump on both sides. So I'm assuming that you have a really good knack of communicating your skill sets from interior design to a construction standpoint that makes them go, you know what? I want to do that. That's a cool idea. Let's go with it. So communication is big. How do you go about that?
So I'm really big on building your design team. And I tell every client when they start with me, I'm like, your design team makes all the difference in the world. Everyone has to communicate because communication is key in construction. If you don't communicate, stuff goes wrong immediately, right? And everybody also has to get along. And I'm not talking about get along like, oh, I like you. I'm talking about get along on a work level, being able to so for instance, I do have some favorite builders that I work with, but they know that when I come up with the design, and I've worked with them for so long now, they know if I present a design that it is going to be functional and it's going to be doable from a construction standpoint. Because what happens a lot of time is some interior designers don't understand construction. And so they will come up with design ideas that from a structural standpoint don't work. And so they get the client excited about idea, and then maybe a general contractor is like, wait, that doesn't happen. We need steel to brace that. We don't have the support for that. We can't, and so it becomes a frustration point when you aren't able to communicate, and you don't communicate between the team and present ideas to the client as a team versus a one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And so that's something I'm very particular about in the industry. And I try to keep that from happening, because your design team will make or break your new construction project.
Mm-hmm. Now, for somebody who has construction background, interior design background, as a real estate investor, you have a lot of advantages and benefits because you know all that kind of stuff, right? Now, for people who wants to jump into real estate and they want to go, you know what, I want to do investing, I want to learn all this kind of stuff, what would you say would be the first thing for them to do in order for them to be successful?
Ooh, I would say build your design team, because really, if you don't know construction, you have to be able to trust someone who does. Mm-hmm. And that is very scary, right? It is for me, but I've seen all sorts of things. So I think your design team, which your contractor, your general contractor, would be the key player for them. Because if they don't have a good working relationship, or they don't understand the process, and the general contractor has not given them, this is the true process of construction. This is, okay, Fong, for example, investments are usually time frames, right? Like we're doing a project right now and I have a 90-day construction schedule. Mm-hmm. Well, 4.5 months. So I need to get it back on the market. But if you don't have, as the GC of this project, I have a very clear-cut 90-day schedule of who needs to come in, who doesn't, how long it's going to take, when I need to order, that sort of thing. And if they don't have that hashed out, you're going to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. And so as a young investor or a new investor who doesn't know, I would say cross your T's and dot your I's, because that is the best way to secure that your project is going to go accordingly and you will succeed in the end. So
now there's a lot of general contractors out there. There's a lot of interior designers out there. How does one go about to find the right one, or one they could actually trust? Because there's a lot of them out there and everybody says they're great.
Right. Well, and it's a people business. So this is what I tell my clients, which is actually shocking to them sometimes. I'm like, look, I may not be the interior designer for you. This is how I operate, right? This is how I do things. And this is how my 17 years of experience tells me that it works, right? So I'm not a fit for everyone, right? And I think that there's so many wonderful interior designers, and there are interior designers and decorators here that I always refer jobs to, because I know that they're a better fit for that client. And really, this is a people business. When I get on the phone and I talk to someone, I know usually pretty quickly, I know whether it's going to be a fit or not. And so then I just trust my gut, and gut instinct says, okay, nope, they probably need to give them Christine's number because she's going to be a much better fit for what they're looking for. And she's going to get along better personality wise, because not everybody's personalities work together. Mm. So.
Cool. So when a person goes out and finds that person, are there certain questions that you ask? Is there certain things that people should try and, I don't know, is it test that person out to make sure that the right person?
Well, I think it's a people business. So if they have the credentials, it more or less comes down to, do you want, this is what I tell my clients, this is so funny. I'm like, well, do you want to spend the next 3 years with me? Because usually when I start a project, I'm in it for 2 minimum. I've had a project run as long as 7 years long.
Wow.
Yep. And they're some of my favorite clients and just the best people in the world. But I enjoyed working with them, and they enjoyed working with me for 7 years because, and it continues. Shoot, I think we're on 8 years now. But it was 6 years under construction from design and through the construction phase. And so it's more or less whether you mesh with that person on a personal level, and do you want to spend time? I think ask yourself, do you want to spend time with this person? Do you feel confident, and do you trust this person that they're going to do a great job? Because ultimately it comes down to people and people's skills and people getting along together. And not everyone's a fit, but when it fits, it's usually a really positive thing.
Very, very cool. Now, I know you work with your husband and your partner on most of your projects. How's that experience like for you to be partners and husband and wife?
Woo! It's a balance. No, he's great. It's more or less learning each other's strengths. So we have not actually worked together for all of the 17 years. And I, on the design firm, for the first portion of it, I pretty much ran the show, right? I mean, he wasn't really involved on a construction or a design level. And so it's been interesting bringing him in over the last several years. He's been a tremendous asset, and he just has skills and he balances where I lack. And so it's been great from a professional level. Yeah, absolutely.
So for other couples who wants to become the power couple that you two are there certain guidelines, certain kind of tips that you could share?
Woo, communication. So yeah.
Here's your box. Stay in that box.
Yes. Because I will tell you, if you can't communicate and we have very blunt communication. So it's more or less like, look, this is what's wrong. This is how we need to fix it. If you can't do that, or you need to learn how to do that, to be honest, because business is business and personal is personal. And you really have to figure out how to separate them, which is hard to do when you own and run your own businesses, but you have to do it. And actually coaching has told me that I don't put enough personal time into my life because I'm a natural workaholic and I love what I do. So it's one of those things where you have to make time for the personal, and then in the professional side, you have to be able to communicate accurately. And if there is something that goes awry, it's not personal. This is business, right? So now we're on the business side and we're trying to make good business decisions. You know, you have to put feelings aside sometimes. So
no, you talked about coaching, and what I found very, very similar to a lot of other successful entrepreneurs and investors and all kinds of stuff is they also have coaches themselves. They keep on growing, and you're one of those people who are immersed in this environment where you want to constantly learn, grow, and do better.
Yes.
Tell us more about how has coaching changed your life and was able to let you get to the next level?
Ooh, coaching brought on a whole nother realm for me. I did not, I always just did what I did, and I did what I did construction and interior design, and I loved it, and I just made it work, right? Ultimately, I just got lucky. I got lucky that I was good at it, and I loved the people that I worked with, which is the clients, and then of course the industry people. But coaching and financial knowledge brought on a whole different realm of like, okay, this is what you do, but what else can you do with it, right? It answers a lot of questions, and it brought on where it was asking questions that I didn't even know to ask, right? And just from an operational standpoint, day to day, so I've got a business coach, right? I've got a real estate coach, a marketing coach. I mean, it goes on and on. And so I think once I got a taste of coaching and actually seeing what other people could contribute to improve what we do, it was amazing. And I got one dose of it and I was like, I need more coaches. They're awesome. And so it's been a blessing to have that in my life, because I've only had it for probably, I don't know, I'm looking at the date, three years now.
Wow, that you got hooked on coaching. It's very obvious that you have a lot of passion for what you do. You're very, very positive, a lot of great energy. Not everybody has that. And you talked about at the very beginning where you don't even hear the negative stuff that comes into your mind. In fact, it doesn't even come into your mind. So what happens on a daily basis for you to maintain that type of mindset?
Woo, okay. So there are some days, because this is construction, and I always call it my construction Mondays. It gets very chaotic. So the job of a good interior designer is you're basically taking everyone's stress. So we are problem solvers, and you need to be able to be a problem solver from a design perspective, but also an on-site perspective. And so we're the ones who get the phone calls of, oh my gosh, a pipe just burst. What do I do? How do I turn it off? right? It's either me or the contractor.
Mhm.
Or, the dog did this and now I have to redo the whole kitchen. And you're like, how did that happen? And so, but we absorb that. And then we take in the stress of all that and then we problem solve it, right? So it's who to call, how to make it work. So I think problem solving skills have to be a huge portion of what you do in construction interior design, especially for construction-based designers. But it's also being able to brush it off, right? Like at the end of the day, you need downtime, because if we're taking on stress all day, every day, I mean, I do it Sundays, I don't get as much, but pretty much from 7 a.m. because subcontractors start early all the way to 7 p.m. and sometimes later, a lot of the time later, it's constant, right? So there has to be a cutoff point and there has to be downtime, because if you don't rejuvenate, I should say relax and rejuvenate, you'll burn yourself out.
You mentioned before you're a natural hardworking person that thinks about work all the time.
Yes.
And you just talked about finding that pure time to relax. So are you one of those people who schedules that relax time, or just kind of happens when it gets there?
So coaching has taught me yes, I learned this because I used to work from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. I'm not kidding, especially in my younger years. I was like, I'm going to make it. I love this. I'm going to work like crazy. Well, I will tell you, there was a point where I started to burn out and it was like, okay, well, that's not working anymore. But I learned through coaching is you do have to take time for yourself, because if you don't rest, you actually are running ragged, right? You can't do your best job. And so now I actually have a sleep timer that goes off on my phone. So at 8 o'clock p.m., my timer goes on, my phone goes on silent. And that timer says that nothing goes off again till 6 a.m. the next morning.
Wow.
Right? So I don't have anyone bothering me because I can't hear it anymore.
So how do you shut your inner voice to stop working?
So that's personal time. I'm going to be honest. I have to pretty much every night. I'm a bubble bath person. So I relax. I do a bubble bath. I have the Calm app. Actually, I had a client refer the Calm app to me. I love the Calm app. It's also getting great sleep, because if you don't sleep well, then you can't operate fully the next day, right? Because your energy burns down. So getting good sleep was something that I had to introduce in, because I did not sleep well before, and now I sleep amazing. But it's also learning how to, and I'm figuring this out, Fong, I have not quite mastered it, but the Calm app is for meditation purposes.
I see.
So that's what I really downloaded it for. And so it's learning how to switch your brain off at certain times when you need to, and be able to meditate and just relax. And then, okay, 15 minutes later, I'm at it again. Let's go. I got this, right?
Wow. It's almost like a superpower. You can turn it on and off whenever you want.
You got to learn, you got to teach yourself how to do it. It's not easy, and it doesn't come naturally at all.
So my final formal question for you is, if you were speaking on the world stage and everybody gets to listen to you for the next few minutes, what is that one message you want everybody to remember Shavawn for?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. I would say, whatever you're doing in life, have passion doing it, right? I know not everyone enjoys their jobs, but you have to find passion in something. There's been a time where I didn't enjoy construction and design. I was on the burnout stage. So it's something where you need to take life perspective, and you have to learn to be happy, right? And you have to love what you do. So I would say just talking people through that, and maybe even if they had questions, I would love to be known for giving positive energy and potentially influencing them to be happier in their daily lives.
Awesome. Now, because you said that I lied, I'm going to have another formal question for you.
Okay.
Because you talked about you have to learn how to be happy. How does one learn how to be happy?
Ooh, well, it's really difficult. So basically there was a point in life where I was very frustrated. I was frustrated with all of the stress day to day. And I actually sat down and made a list. I did. And I'm like, okay, this is what I love. This is what I don't love. This is what's causing frustration. This is what, and then you've got to change it. But if you don't take action, it'll never change. So it's really up to you, and you have to make the decision. So for me, I was doing a lot of design that I didn't enjoy. Interior designers, we're thought of as, you have to do all this interior stuff. And I was pushing myself to do all this interiors, draperies, furniture, all this stuff. And I didn't love it. It wasn't what I loved. And so I'm like, you know what? And when I made my list, I'm like, everything design and construction and architectural plans and things like that, I loved it. And seeing the start through the finish, but all that other stuff on the back end of construction, I didn't enjoy it, and it drugged me down a little bit, and so I changed it, and I stopped doing interiors completely, and now I focus on construction, and so it was just changing how I do things.
Awesome, good words to live by. So everybody needs to follow that advice and find out how to be happy with what they're doing. And then also making that adjustment when they need to, something that a lot of people are afraid to do because it's hard to make that adjustment. So thank you for that. Now, before I let you go, I got a few quick questions for you, get to know you a little bit more and for fun. Now, my very first question, usually if I ask this question to a normal person, you're not a normal person. A normal person would just give me one word. For you, I'm sure, and I'm banking on it, you can give me a great list. How many different blues are there?
Oh gosh, like 5 million. I don't know. At least 5,000, at least.
And that's why I said, I'm like, if I ask this to somebody else, blue's blue.
Blue's blue. Yeah, 4. I don't know. Yeah, like so many. It's ridiculous. It's endless.
If I ask you to just spout them out, how many do you think you can list?
Oh, needlepoint navy is a current color that I used on exterior. It's a great color. There is Delft. Sherwin-Williams Delft is a very historic blue. There's Rain. We recently painted a room in this color called Rain. It's very spa, tranquil color. Fong, I could go on and on.
I know. I'm like, I'm going to regret asking that question because you can go for like another 20, 50 minutes.
Yes, I
could. You're stranded on a desert island, and you get to eat one food for the rest of your life, no consequence. What would that be?
Broccoli.
Broccoli?
I love broccoli.
Wow.
It's my favorite food.
That's a shocker. Hollywood calls and go, wow, your life is amazing. We want to do a biopic on you. Who would you cast to play you?
Oh, Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock calls and says, hey, I got the part. So let's hang out so I can learn more about you, your little, all the little details that you do at home and whatnot. But she's hungry. So what is that special dish that you could provide for her or serve her?
I love Italian food. But my go-to is usually sushi.
Oh, wow. Nice. Is it Hasbro? I think it's Hasbro. Anyway, I was going to say Hasbro, but Monopoly calls. I think it's Hasbro.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, Monopoly calls and go, hey, you know what? We're going to make a Monopoly game named after you. So it's Shavawn Everitt. All right. What would you pick as your 5 tokens for people to use as playing pieces that represent you?
Ooh. Well, I do like the lead pipe because it has to do with construction. I think we'll keep the lead pipe. Probably. Oh, it's so interesting. I would probably do a high heel. Okay. Let me see. Then I would do maybe a mini house, like an actual house. Is this like personal to me? I could have it anything that I wanted to. It's not business related.
It represents you. 5 tokens.
Well, what would yours be, Fong?
Probably have a microphone.
I like that.
I would probably have a hockey stick because I like playing hockey. My car because it has the same initials as me. And maybe a picture frame to represent family.
Okay, I like it. Well, I have two more. Let me see. I would probably pick, well, I'm a very big outdoors person. So a hiking shoe would actually probably be one that would personally represent me. And I love the mountains. So I would probably pick a mountain.
Great. And my last question is, what is success like? But before that, give me a number between 1 and 3.
Oh, 1, 3, 2.
2. So how is success similar to drums?
Oh, well, let me see. You could, so drums. So I'm going to go with my philosophy of you just jump in head first. Success. Drums, you just start beating them, you know, making rhythm. You do the same thing with success. You start hacking at it and getting things done, beating on the tasks that you need to get done to make it succeed, and you make it work and you make music.
Well done. And that is how success is like drums. So thank you very much for your time. It was a lot of fun chatting with you, learning more about you, and also getting some great life advice and business advice as well. Is there anything that you want to share before we go? And also, what's the best way to reach out to you?
So at Shavawn Everitt, you can look at my social media. That's probably the best way to reach out to me, Instagram in particular. And then life advice is love what you do and be happy.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much again. For everybody else, she is Shavawn. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to lock your peak potential. Well, I'll see you later.